What's up, y'all? This is how you pass the 2026 bar exam. I'm going to give you guys some key tips that helped me pass the bar exam. I'm going to tell you guys some uh, real life issues that I went through while I was taking the bar exam. Um, Plot twist: I actually took the bar exam 2 times. I'll get into that down the line. Um, I'll talk about some personal things that I was going through while I was taking the exams both times, and some practical steps to passing the bar exam. It's a beast of an exam, as I'm sure everyone knows that's gearing up to take it, or that's in the middle of taking the exam. Maybe the biggest thing that I can say right off the bat is practice exams. Practice exams are critical. Practice exams are huge for passing the bar exam. Um, it's the only way you can put what you know to test. I mean, that's the whole point of exams in general, is to uh, see what you know and what you don't know. So you can do as many, prompts as you want, as many of the multiple choice questions as you want, as many, you know, notes on a whiteboard as you want. At the end of the day, you have to be able to score high on a practice exam, and you have to be able to sit and actually get through a full practice exam, because it's several hours, as you guys know. And so it takes being physically capable of doing that, outside of the just knowing mentally the work on the paper or on the screen. You have to physically be able to sit down and be able to get through a full exam. And you're going to need to be able to have that stamina. It's kind of like gearing up for a marathon. It really is a marathon when you think about it. It's kind of like getting ready for a marathon. You have to build up your endurance so that when you're there on game day, it's nothing, and you're able to get through those hours with ease. So the first thing is set a schedule, have a schedule, and make sure you're marking when you're going to take those practice exams and sit through them for their entirety. Don't shortcut anything. I guess that's number one, is taking a sufficient amount of practice exams. Now, what goes hand in hand with that is having a schedule. You need a schedule. You can't just go into the bar exam in freestyle. You're going to need a schedule, and now with AI, it's relatively easy to have a decent schedule, because you have. You could just go on ChatGPT or Claude and just tell them what you're working on or what you're working with. So hey, I'm if you have work, which hopefully you don't have to work, but I get that not everyone's circumstances are ideal, but just let them know, like, these are my circumstances. I have to do X, Y, and Z. If you have a kid and you have a set time where you have them, or whatever it is, just let them, just talk to whatever AI you use, and let them know what your schedule is, and let them know what you're working towards, when the exam is going to be, and tell them, look, print me out a PDF of a schedule that will assist me in being able to pass the bar. And it will probably ask you for more prompts, but just talk back and forth with it, and it'll give you a good schedule. Now, so that's the scheduling in the practice exams. The other thing is, I kind of just touched on it, but the best case scenario is to not have anything else going on in your life. Like, I know that's the ideal situation. Some people can't afford to not work while studying for the exam, or they can't afford to not, maybe they have family obligations or whatever, where they have to take care of someone. If you don't have those obligations, remove everything off of your plate. Best case scenario is, for the 3 or 4 months, or 2 to 4 months that you're studying, and that time is actually important, because for me, when I took the exam, I believe I studied for a little over 3 months. You graduate in May. The exam is like July. So, the first time it was about 3 months. The second time okay, I'll get there. But the point is, You don't want anything else to distract you. Social media for sure. While you're taking the exam or while you're studying for the exam, get rid of all social media. You shouldn't be. I mean, that stuff is addicting. It's literally addicting. Like there's been lawsuits over how addicting this stuff is. So get rid of all social media for those few months. Like no one's gonna go anywhere when you get back on. Everyone's gonna still be there doing the same stuff. So get rid of all social media, and the ideal situation is to not have anything going on. For the time that you're studying, that should be your only focus. Like gatherings with friends and stuff, I would put all that on the back burner. All that stuff is going to be there once you take the exam. The other thing is you don't want to have any regrets. I mean, it's kind of the same thing that you guys probably went through for taking the LSAT. You want to make sure you basically give the exam your all, so that, I mean, even if you do fail, like I did my first time, you're not having regrets like, damn, maybe I should have did this, or maybe I should have did that. Like maybe I shouldn't have, signed up for that basketball league or whatever. You don't want any of those regrets. You want to be able to know that you did everything you possibly could have, and then you can sleep with yourself. If the results don't work out your way. Now, for me, I was married at the time I took the exam. I was not working, so I actually had all the time in the world to just study, which I did. It just wasn't enough. And for me, I'm the type of person that needs to overstudy. I mean, there's some people that I was studying with. I mean, they just read something once and it just sticks in their head. I mean, they saw me. I was studying literally from it was a job for me. Like I was getting into the library probably like around like 9 a.m. and I wasn't leaving until probably like 8 p.m. Like it was like a full-time job and more when I was studying. For me personally, I just need that time because it's hard for me to retain concepts. I just need more time than maybe the average person does. But like I said, some people don't need that amount of time. They can retain information much easier. So I studied with Barbary. And when it comes to the courses, my personal opinion is they all do the same thing. Like I studied with people that were using Kaplan, and I think there's like some other programs. I think they all do the same thing. Like I don't think that's the issue is which course you use. I think they all do the same thing at the end of the day. The key is to try to make sure that the work that you're doing is the only thing, though. So if you do have to do work, obviously, do what you have to do and try to make sure you cut out everything else. And then, so with me, like I said, I was studying insanely. I think I was doing basically like 6 days a week. I believe Fridays I had off for religious obligations on Friday. Now that I think about it, I probably was working Friday nights though, or studying. When I say work, I'm studying Friday nights. But from morning to like midday-ish into like the afternoon, I don't think I was working on Fridays or studying on Fridays. But yeah, long story short, I ended up taking it the first time. I failed, and oh man, it was disappointing. But you got through law school, you got through the LSAT. You just got to have that dog in you. And I remember I had a post-bar clerk at a firm. And I remember getting my results and I failed, and I remember texting him. And I was like, I just straight up told him, I was like, failed the bar. I was like, back into the library I go. And I quit that job, or I didn't quit. I basically told him, I'll be back, once I pass. But I was literally back in the library. It wasn't the next day. I remember going with my brother to a coffee shop that next morning and telling him like, man, I had an offer lined up. Like they were getting ready to break me off. And I remember just telling him, like, I was just like planning out my future, and like now this is just gonna set me back another like 6 months, because it sucks because you get your results, and then the next time you can take the bar is like 3 months from there, and then obviously you wait another like 3 months to get the results. So it was like a whole, like, it just pushes everything back half a year. So I remember I chilled that next day, but the following day, 2 days later, I'm back in the library, man. Like it was just straight back to it. Like I didn't pout. Like it wasn't like, why me or nothing. It just is what it is, man. Like some people just don't pass it on the first time, and it's a tough exam. It's a really tough exam, especially California, which is the exam I took. The California bar exam is the toughest one in the country. So I was back in the library. Oh, this is the big one. This is the big one. This is where like light bulbs and stuff should be going off. The first time I took it, I felt I was too passive. I remember like, you have the work and stuff on the computer, you have the physical books. I remember reading the stuff, regurgitating it to like the people that I was around. That's another thing. Make sure you're in the right study groups. Not that I wasn't in the right study groups, but you don't want your whole studying time to be with other people, because you guys could be saying the wrong stuff. You have to have the right proportions. I wouldn't say don't study at all with people, but studying with people 100% of the time, I think is a no. You have to be able to go over things on your own. I mean, maybe for at the end of the day, your last 30 minutes, maybe link up with somebody if you're studying in the school library, and like, what did you think about this topic, and maybe going back and forth. But you don't want to study with someone for the whole time. So I thought I was passive the first time. I remember reading things and writing stuff down and sort of just moving on to the next topic without actually like cementing that I knew what it was. And so for the second time, I remember telling myself, you need to use flashcards. Like, go old school, man. Get some flashcards, walk around, look at a definition, tell yourself it, flip the card over. Did you get it right? If not, put that at the back of the card or in a separate section and go back to it. So it was more active learning. It was what I did the second time around. I remember going to the library. I went to a different library. This time it was an undergrad library, and I would book a room on a daily basis, and they had a nice whiteboard, and I would write out definitions on the whiteboard. And the only way I can say it is, the best way I can say it is, it was just more active learning the second time, as opposed to the first time it was just too passive. And using flashcards, writing definitions out on the whiteboard, erasing it, doing it all over again. I just remember taking a lot of walks around the campus with flashcards, just talking to myself, going through these cards. It's 4th of July. Those are fireworks. I remember walking around campus with flashcards, going over them, and yeah, I mean, I ended up taking it for the second time, and I was in the car. I remember I'm Muslim. I remember going to Eid Festival with my wife on the 10 freeway. No, this was on the 5 freeway, and I remember pulling out my phone, and this was like, I think the results dropped at like 5 p.m. This was like 5:05. I remember like I didn't check it right away. I was just like, oh my God. I remember exactly where I was on the 5 freeway. Anyway, I put out my phone, checked that, and it said passed. In Cali, they don't tell you what your score was. It's just either pass or fail. It said pass. And I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's go. It's a dumb exam. I don't like these exams, man. It's such a poor gauge of whether a person knows the work or not. What should they do instead? I don't know. Maybe this is the best way to go about it, but yeah. So those are my tips on passing the bar exam. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you want to connect with me, my Instagram is Muhammad Injury Law. My TikTok is also Muhammad Injury Law. Muhammad is spelled just like the boxer. All right, y'all, take care. Boom.